Welcome to No Hard Feelings, kinda, where we unpack emotional baggage we swear we're over, talk through bad decisions, complicated relationships, and the things that make therapists rich. I'm your host, JoJo Lynn, and if you've ever smiled through something that absolutely wrecked you, you're in the right place. I did not disappear, I did not fall off a cliff, and I didn't get abducted. I have been in a wicked lupus flare, which honestly feels dramatic enough to count as an abduction. And here's what I'm learning as I get older. My body will humble me faster than any critic ever could. I've spent most of my life being the person who pushes through. I will work through exhaustion. I will show up through pain. I'll ignore warning signs like they're spam emails. But lupus does not care about your work ethic. It doesn't care about your plans or that you scheduled episodes. And it definitely doesn't care that you're on a roll. Lupus said, "Oh, you're growing? That's cute. Now go lay down." And the hardest part sometimes isn't even the physical symptoms. It's the guilt, the mental spiral, the feeling like you're falling behind, like you're letting people down. But what I'm finally starting to understand is pushing through isn't strength if it costs you weeks of recovery time. Respecting my limitations isn't weakness, it's intelligence, it's sustainability, it's choosing longevity over my own ego. So if I've been quiet or MIA, it wasn't avoidance, it was recalibration. And now that I'm finally feeling steady again, I'm back on track. Now, while I was resting and trying to behave like a responsible adult with an autoimmune disease, something else has been simmering. My 25-year high school reunion. Now, I did not go to the 10-year reunion, and I have zero plans to go to the 25-year reunion. And the more I think about that, the more confident I feel about that decision. In middle school, I was terrorized by a group of girls. But there was one girl in particular that led the charge. And when I say terrorized, I mean, that age where you don't yet have language for what's happening. You just know that your stomach drops every time you see a certain someone in the hallway. Now, she left me alone in high school. Fine, growth, maturity, love that for her. But to be fair, high school was different. There was one incident, though, my freshman year, and it wasn't even with her. It was with two of her supporting actresses. I had made friends with some seniors, which I suspect is why the bullying energy had quieted down. And one day, I accidentally made eye contact with one of the former cronies. I know, how dare I, right? Well, she and another one of her faithful lackeys follow me into the bathroom. Next thing I know, Tweedledee and Tweedledum start telling me how they're going to kick my ass because apparently I was, quote, messing with someone else's man. Yeah, someone's man. We were 14 years old. And I wasn't messing with anyone, let alone someone else's boyfriend or a grown man. Now, this goes on for a solid 5 minutes. Up, down, left, right, diagonal. They're going on and on about every which direction they're going to kick my ass. And I remember just standing there thinking, this is ridiculous. No, I wasn't brave or fearless. I was just over it. So finally, I just said, all right, so are we going to do this, or do you want to stand around and talk about it all day? And at this point, I was just ready to just do the damn thing. Except they froze, completely stunned. Then they walked out and never spoke to me again. And that was the moment I realized that a lot of people think that if they talk a big game, no one will challenge them on it because they assume then that they must really be about it. They're loud and dramatic and threatening, but when you call their bluff, the whole performance collapses. But middle school, that was different. I hadn't yet reached my limit because I was more shocked and confused as to why these girls were making it their daily mission to make me feel like something was wrong with me. Now, years later, I heard that at the 10-year reunion, the girl that was my main bully went around and apologized to people that she had been mean to. Now, I am not hard to find. I have been on the internet since dial-up. If there was an apology with my name on it, it could have arrived. And it didn't. And I don't say that because I'm desperate for one. I say it because sometimes apologies are easier when there's an audience and a buffet table. And now a large portion of the reunion committee is the same friend group that used to laugh at everything she said. So I'm assuming the theme this year is selective memory and charcuterie, which is, comforting. But I will tell you this. If you were tormented in school and you're even the slightest bit petty like I am, take 15 minutes one day and do a little light Facebook stalking of your old high school bullies. Trust me, you will see some things that make your heart smile, and you'll receive confirmation that karma does, in fact, come to collect. But there is one part that actually tugs at me. There is one teacher I would give anything to see. She was so amazing. She really mattered. And she saw me when I felt completely invisible. I've tried to find her online for years, and unfortunately, I've never been able to. And there's a chance that she may be at this reunion. So that's the only thing that gnaws at me. But here's what I've realized. I don't need to walk back into a room that hurt me just to prove I survived it. If they're the least bit curious how I turned out, they can subscribe. And speaking of surviving things that shape you in ways you don't expect, my guest today is Shiri, a former radio host turned women's empowerment advocate who has the rare ability to be deeply insightful, emotionally intelligent, and hilarious, which honestly feels unfair to the rest of us. Shiri brings broadcasting level presence, real vulnerability, and the kind of honesty that makes you laugh and then quietly reassess your life choices in the best way. She's a divorced millennial woman with ADHD who decided she wasn't interested in shrinking, hardening, or pretending she was totally fine, and instead learned how to reconnect with her feminine power without losing her edge or her sense of humor. Today, we're talking about women getting their groove back after divorce, after loss, after realizing the life you planned is no longer available and customer service is closed. This conversation is honest, funny, and very much for anyone who's ever thought, okay, so what now? Shiri, welcome to No Hard Feelings, kinda. How are you?
I am amazing. Thank you for having me, JoJo. And also, girl, I don't think ChatGPT could write something as good as you have about me. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't plan on dying anytime soon, but like, can you send that over to me? Because that's my eulogy right there. Like, I mean, my goodness. Ooh,
Well,
yes.
it's all true. It is all true.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. So I feel like broadcasting teaches you how to sound confident while internally screaming, which honestly, it sounds kind of like the perfect way to prepare for adulthood.
Yeah, you know what? I would totally agree. I have a background in communications, of course, and then with broadcasting. But it just really started as like a kid. So I remember, I think I was maybe 5 or 6, and my mom gave me a karaoke machine as a Christmas gift and a cassette tape because that was the thing back then before CDs,
Right.
and just recording myself, kind of introing songs and doing things like that. And then she was always like the Easter program, like coordinator for like the children's part of Easter. And of course, I always had the longest speech because that's what you do. And so I was just always prepared to like be ready to like 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. And then also being raised an only child. I have 3 half brothers, but I grew up in the house with just my mom and me. So I've kind of always been like a miniature adult where I had to do what I had to do. So broadcast just kind of naturally went into that. And then I've never met a stranger. Neither one of my parents have ever met a stranger either. So it just seemed like
Yeah.
the perfect, like, insert yourself here kind of thing. So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was definitely a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, so you had your career in radio,
Mhm.
which already gives you kind of like main character energy. So, but it can also be like a very public facing identity. Who were you before like everything shifted?
Oh, well, I've always been hyphenated, I feel like, which comes from the ADHD, right? Just having multiple multiple interests. So, oh my gosh, this is such a loaded question. Okay, so who was I? I was a pageant girl for a while. So yeah,
Really?
yeah, I kind of forgot about that. When you've lived so many lives, and I've done at least 1,000, you're like, oh yeah, I've done that. I've twirled
Yeah.
batons. I've done pageants as like a kid and a teenager. Been on like little local programming, little like kids television things also. So I've always been like
Nice.
multi hyphenated with modeling or
Hmm.
doing pageant stuff or being a writer, just like writing stuff or being a full-time nerd, like reading the Encarta encyclopedia on CD-ROM for fun.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've always been all of these things, including like a cheerleader or class president. So
Yeah.
just all of these things. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, absolutely. I mean, clearly the majority of your like background, your interest, sort of kind of what makes you you is very like extroverted, very like you like to be with people and um kind of connecting, I think.
Yes, I
You're always
also
doing something where you're connecting.
yeah, I also owned like a consulting firm where I did like
Okay.
staffing. Where I did
Yeah.
staffing, one of my largest clients was a clothing boutique. So when they would have their photo shoots, I would basically recruit the models, the makeup artist, the photographer, the hairstylist. I mean, just anything with people. That has been always
Yeah.
been my thing. So my master's is in like government, but also human resources management. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so people based that I just
Right.
can't shy away from it at all.
Right. And it's really odd, just a little side note,
Mhm.
because I know when you and I talked and I felt like you and I have so much in common.
Yes.
And I owned a consulting company as well, and I was a recruiter.
Oh, see, we know, we see
Yeah.
each other.
Exactly. Those types of people have a way of finding each other.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, now to kind of move into like the next sort of, I guess, phase of your
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
and you've been very open about divorce, being like a major turning point.
Oh yeah.
What surprised you the most about who you became after that chapter ended?
You know, I and any woman that like gets it. They understand that laugh, that chuckle. It's like, oh girl, if I would have known that it was like this on the other
Right.
side, I would not have been scared at all. I did not realize, like, so a little bit of background about me. So I'm on the
Yeah.
Libra Scorpio cusp. So Scorpio starts on the first day of my birthday is the first day of Scorpio. And so I've just always had like this mysterious, like badass energy, but like very much so, very feminine and like very put together. I don't know why people think I have my shit together, but it's nice. It's a cute little brand. But
Right.
I just before getting a divorce, I was just stifled emotionally, or
Hmm.
just how I saw myself as, a middle-aged woman. And
Hmm.
now on the other side of it, I told somebody, I said, I don't fear anything. I've literally gone through the scariest thing that I could have ever gone through in my life. And this was scarier than having a C-section with my daughter and being in active labor for over
Mm.
2 days, and also having the epidural come out of my back during
Oh.
during active labor. But
Oh my
this,
God.
right, this was way scarier than that. So on the other side of it all, I'm like, okay, I am completely fearless. There's no one that walks this earth, whether they're alive or even in spirit form, that I am like afraid of, because
Hmm.
I literally went through the fire and did not come out smelling like smoke at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how sane you feel once you leave the environment that made you question your reality.
Oh, oh my gosh. It's kind of like a leech has kind of been removed. And not saying that the individual was a leech, but I mean, it was
Right.
draining. And even
Right.
you see your face. I mean, it's so funny where, there's this whole thing where, like a divorce or post-divorce glow up, where you see these women
Uh-huh.
caring about things that they never cared about before. So, I've always
Right.
kind of, just cared about how I look, of course, because I'm just
Mhm.
I'm just a girl. But but going through the divorce, and then after the divorce, I really got into fitness. And what I really enjoy doing is Pilates. And the reason why I really love Pilates, JoJo, is it's me versus me. So it's not any other like
Okay.
really like weights, or I'm not using any machines. I'm literally strengthening my body with my body. And it's
Yeah.
like, girl, you're showing yourself how strong you are every day. So not only am I having to be emotionally strong for my daughter, but I can literally kick the shit out of somebody too, because my because my legs are now all muscle. So
Right.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I'm not I'm not gonna say that I don't encourage it, because I do encourage divorce. I also encourage marriage. I am that friend that will stand in the gap and pray with you and high five. We can cry. We can drink dirty or filthy martinis all night long. But if it is not serving you, and you see yourself just losing yourself where you don't even recognize who you are, and if
Yeah.
if I see you and you're starting to get dark around your eyes, oh girl, we've got to have another conversation.
Right. Right. I love that. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, myself included,
Hmm.
I've been married twice and divorced twice.
Hmm.
And I think that when you're in the marriage and it's not working, you start to, and I don't know why we do this, but we just assume that divorce comes with like a free identity crisis or,
Mm.
something, negative, something horrible, when really divorce can be wild because suddenly you're sexually free,
Yes.
emotionally feral.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
feral is oh my God. Listen, and my best friend she also went through a divorce. So she married before I did. She had a child before I did. And she also was divorced before I was. So we have like a running joke where I'm like, okay, girl, you try it out and then report back. So like
Yeah.
everything that she did, like I was right behind her doing it. But yes, we called ourselves just feral, just out there in those streets, like
Yes.
terrorizing these men in the mean streets of Atlanta, Georgia. And it was amazing. We loved every moment of it. It was so much fun.
I love it. I love that. So let me ask you a little bit about the ADHD.
Mhm.
How did that play into that period? Like, maybe not just emotionally, but, practically, because I would imagine that navigating heartbreak or, divorce, anything like that with ADHD, sometimes feels like heartbreak on shuffle.
Yes. I think it could for someone if they felt like they were having the rug pulled from up under them.
Hmm.
But for me, people said to me, you are eerily calm during this divorce. You are so put together. And I said, well, I think it's because I had already grieved the end of my marriage before I filed for divorce.
Oh,
So I'd already
yeah.
gone through the motions. I had already done the healing. I had, there's an artist named Cleo Soul, and she's like a R&B artist out of the UK. And, I'm from Atlanta, so everybody has a home here, right? So we're not easily impressed when we see like stars because they could be your next door neighbor. But I promise you, if I
Right.
ever meet Cleo Soul, I am gonna fangirl so hard and be like, girl, your music like got me through one of the hardest
Yeah.
moments of my life. So I one of the things about ADHD, especially in women, is the hyperactivity part is not in your behavior. It's typically in your mind. It's your thoughts.
Okay.
Sometimes it shows up as anxiety, where
Hmm.
even in my marriage, a lot of times I felt like anxiety was my intuition. So I was just like fully like just firing off all the time. But I mean, there were good reasons where it actually was intuition.
Yeah.
Um, but what it did allow me to do, and what ADHD does allow me to do, is compartmentalize too. So even though I have a lot of things where I'm having these thoughts where it's like, okay, well, now I have this attorney, and what is his attorney going to say? Or, how am I going to care for my daughter? And, what is our new life going to look like? Okay, well, then I've also got these other things that are good. And it's like, okay, well, you still have your home from when you were single, and you've already paid your retainer with your attorney, and this shouldn't take too long, and whatever he says back is just going to be a reflection of him, but you're already settled in yourself. So I was able to put things in boxes, in like a mental box, and put them up on the shelf.
Yeah.
So there had already been enough trauma, unfortunately, where I was able to block some things out and just move forward with blinders on and keep sight of the goal on the other end. Now, don't get me wrong. I got married to stay married. I didn't believe in divorce. I felt like with marriage,
Hmm.
the only way out was death. So either that's through natural causes or whatever other reason. That's the only way that you're getting out. But sometimes it just doesn't work, And
Yeah.
in order for a marriage to work, both parties have to want to be married to each
Yep.
other.
Hmm.
And that ended up not being the case. And it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you kind of, the way you were talking about it, it's almost like you make your ADHD work for you.
Yeah, I have to. Otherwise, I would have zero productivity. And I think the driving force, honestly, is just my daughter. So she's 8. And until she's 18, then she is like fully my responsibility under the state law of Georgia. So I
Hmm.
have to I have to show up for her each and every day. So with saying that, I never wanted her to look at me and say, why did you stay? Why were you so weak that you stayed? And
Yeah.
so I okay, this is part of the ADHD where you could be, or you could have a really cool thought and then you jump into another train car and you're like, who are these people sitting here? So that's when I'll be like, okay, the end. And okay, here's a little known Black history fact about myself. I'm a terrible storyteller. So, you
Aw.
know, I'll give you all these details and it's so anticlimactic. And then you'll be like, oh, shit, Shiri, was that really the end of your story? And I'm like, yeah. So I don't know where we were going with that. We may
That's
revisit
okay.
it, but hey, yay.
You never know. I think you're doing an awesome job. You're a great storyteller.
You're doing a
I love
great job,
it.
sweetie.
Well, I don't have ADHD and my emotions just don't process. Like
Mm.
they ricochet. So,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of time where I have to keep myself in check,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm like dealing with something or like I usually will take time. Like I'll try not to react immediately. And that's very hard to do.
That's a nice
Um,
quality to have.
yeah, I think so. I think.
I'm like, oh, that sounds really great.
But yeah, yeah, it's definitely it can be challenging. But so it's kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too is when you and I were talking before,
Mhm.
we talked about reconnecting with feminine energy, like
Mhm.
softness, intuition, emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
but also without losing strength. Why do you think so many women confuse softness with weakness?
Well, the hegemony of culture, of today's culture, well, it's not even today's culture. It's just been, I think once men realized that they were like, oh shit, there's something better that God created. And they're like, well, now we got to find a way to kind of push them down. So
Mm,
also another little known Black history fact. So I also studied women's studies. So I identify as a womanist, a Black feminist, and it's so funny, right? Because it's like, well, how are you? And my now boyfriend that may possibly be husband number two in the final copy, the final version.
yay.
I had to explain to him, because he's like, baby, you are not a feminist. And I remember we were sitting at a bar eating chicken wings and drinking beer. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, no, the fuck, you are not telling me what I am or am not. And I said, I am a womanist. I said, I am a Black feminist. And this is where it came into play in the third wave of feminism. I said, so I need for you to understand that other waves of feminism were fighting for the right to work. Me as a Black feminist, I am fighting for the right to rest. And so in
Mm,
that space, that's where my softness comes into place because I feel like
yeah.
with any woman, we're taught, especially once you take on the role of wife and then you become a mother and all these other things, it's like, oh, if you're not waking up and working yourself ragged, then you're a bad wife or you're a bad mommy.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
just cannot allow myself to subscribe to any of that. And I think a large portion of it may have to do with the ADHD, where I'm like, no, my brain literally tells me, fuck that. And so
Hmm.
I am resistant. I am resistant to it where I'm like, no, I'm definitely still a woman. I am all of these things, you know?
Right.
And I find strength in my softness. So I learned that, I can get a lot more done with just perhaps making a statement about how, for example, my boyfriend making a statement about how when he does something great, how great that makes me feel when he does that. So he'll probably do it again as opposed to telling him like, hey, you need to do this, or why can't you do this like you did it before? So just learning how to reword things to not necessarily work in my
Hmm.
favor in a manipulative type of way, but it just
Right.
it makes everything, makes the environment just better for everyone.
Right. No, I totally understand. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I I feel like we confuse softness with weakness because are so used to being praised basically for just being convenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like somewhere along the way, the term strong woman just turned into like never ask for help and die tired.
Yes.
Like that's just the way it's supposed to be. But
Yes.
yeah, but people like you, and I would like to think me too,
Mm-hmm.
are kind of saying, hey, no, that's not how this is going to go.
Right.
That's not the way it should be. And kind of recreating the precedent.
Yeah. You know what? You are completely right. And this took unpacking for me. And honestly, it took relearning for me, where I really went through this more so during my divorce era. When I was in my divorce bag, I learned how to do it more. Because I said, what do I want for my life? How do I want my life to be? Because now, Shiri, this is 100% up to you. So however it goes, this is what you have created for yourself. So
Right.
I started to say yes. I started to say yes for help. So I was raised, both my parents have always been in my life, but I lived with my mom, and I would hang out with my dad on the weekends, or like, sometimes holidays or summers. So that strong woman narrative was just always on the forefront of like my mind, and then just self-reliance. And
Yeah.
I remember I changed my major in school. I had wanted to be a business major. Then I changed to communications. And of course, baby boomers were like, what the hell is that? And I remember my mom saying, like, Shri, please just have a job once you graduate. And I was like, no promises, but ma'am, yes, ma'am. Here we are. So just always knowing how to be self-reliant and being resourceful.
Yeah.
So I've always been the friend where, oh, well, we don't have to worry about you because you've got it figured out, been voted most likely to succeed and all those things. So when going through stuff, people would be like, oh, well, you're so strong. I said, I don't want to be strong anymore. I want to be weak. Like, I want to be weak. I want to get help. So I said, okay, what's the easiest way that I can receive help without looking like a weirdo broadcasting this on the internet or whatever other mediums, people can use. So when people asked me, can I help you? I would say yes. Or I would suggest that they help me. So much so now I speak fluent help me. So, even when I go into work, I might buy a pack of water from Costco, and I'm like, I'm not going to carry this. This can break my nails. Where I'm like asking one of my male coworkers, like, hey, can you get my water out of the back of my truck? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, thank you so much. And I might even throw in a little like, hey, I couldn't do this without you, because one, it is the truth. And then we all know that males react very positively to positive reinforcement. We've all read Pavlov's experiment. Hand him a cookie, hand him whatever. And he's going to be like, yes, I will do this again. I'll do it as many times as you need. So, I just started accepting the help. And it's worked so well. And I wish that, I don't know if I need to put it on T-shirts or put it on like tampon wrappers, like telling more ladies, like, ask for help because they're going to do it. And if they don't, then you don't want them around anyway, because they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They want to do it.
But you're right. The good men do. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And here's also like a little keynote. It crosses all like sexual orientations. It does not matter. It is, if you are birthed a man, if you present as a man, if you identify as a man, they will help you. They will help you.
Right.
And it is, I love it. It's like, that's the best part about being a girl. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of realizations or epiphanies really that come to you as you get a little older, as you go through different things in life, like marriage and divorce and even having kids and all that. And, growth to me is like realizing that you were never broken.
Yeah.
You were just surrounded by bullshit.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
So when did you like realize that you weren't just surviving anymore? You were actually getting your groove back.
I think, JoJo, I think finally going back out, because I'd been in a relationship for about 6 years. And so the city looked completely different to me. I remember going out one time with my best friend and I had on some like weird outfit. And if I would have had pearls on, I would have been clutching it the whole time. And of course, I told you, she had already been indoctrinated into like the single city life. And I was still married at the time. And I was like, I'm so sorry I ruined tonight's dinner because I'm so uncomfortable. She was like, it's fine. But I know she was probably cussing me out in her head. But I think once I stepped out and realized that I am still desired, and not from a space of like the male gaze or any of that, but like actually going out and enjoying myself and still being conversational with someone other than just a spouse that hates me and minors. Like, oh, I'm still able to carry on conversation with like other humans. That's really, really cool. So it validated me in a way of like, okay, let's do it again next weekend. And my mom's always been very supportive with like, hey, if you want to go out, I'll watch, my granddaughter. And so having that encouragement too, just from like elders in the community. My divorce was like, I felt a backing from my village, and not necessarily where they were like, girl, you should leave him. No one ever said that. I didn't even realize that some of my like closest friends didn't even like my ex-husband until after the fact. And they were like, well, we just tolerated him because we love you. And I'm like, well, why didn't y'all tell me? I wouldn't have done it. But, what can you do when you're in love? There's nobody you can't tell anybody anything. But now I would listen. But yeah, I think just knowing that I could go out there and be okay, in spite of someone telling me that nobody else would ever want me, you can't afford your life without me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do I need to remind you about my 20s? I've never, and they say here in Atlanta, the ratio like women to men is like 20 women to one man. And I'm like, well, when I was single, I've always had like 100 women's men then, because I've never had an issue. So reminding myself that like, hey, you are a shining star outside of whatever someone's warped like viewpoint, which really had nothing to do with me anyway. It was based in their own insecurity or they're feeling the need to control another human being, which is it's kind of disgusting. But once I realized that those were just untrue things, it made me grow in a way that I'd never seen myself before, where I'm like, okay, here I am, this super grown woman that has always done for herself and now able to call my own shots and like do it my way, like for real. The way that Frank sang about, like, I am doing it my way.
Yeah.
And I love it.
That's great. And I love that for you. I think I knew that I was starting to heal when I stopped mistaking like complete chaos for chemistry.
Oh, yes. That has only just happened to me recently. And it's
really?
Yes. And I'm going to say this too. Here's another little gem for anybody that's listening. So, we think when we're seeing someone like, oh, you have these butterflies and it's the nervousness is so exciting. I remember I was seeing this one individual. It was like a situationship type thing, which you'll have to have me on again later, JoJo, because we can talk about like chaos. We can talk about Scorpio vibes for real. Might have to have everybody like digitally sign an NDA before we do that one. But I remember anytime I was going to meet up with this individual, I'd be like driving and my armpits would be sweating and like just weird stuff. But like we would have such a great time together. But I was also like living in the land of Delulu. So it was like super fun anytime we hung out. And when I started dating my now boyfriend, I realized that is not what love feels like, or even really attraction. That was not me getting like butterflies or excitement. That was my nervous system saying, girl, this is wild. This is not going to be your person, which I didn't want him to like be my person. It was divorce. It was a fun time. It was
Yeah.
it was a 2020s whatever. It was just,
Right,
that's what
right.
we did in our day then. But I realized, like you're saying, when you stop normalizing chaos, like that chaos is a weird thing. With my now, like my man, right when I see his face, it feels like home, and like anything that's going on is just it deads immediately.
Yeah.
Where it just, of course, I'm excited to see him whenever I know I'm going to see him, but it doesn't feel like there's no sweaty armpits. It's
Yeah.
just like, ooh, I can't wait to smell his pheromones. It's a different type of feeling that I've never felt before. So yes, that resonates with me with what you said, where like you realize that that's not normal. Like having
Right.
toxic dynamics, like no, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, and I would imagine a lot of women were so afraid almost that we're going to find someone that's like compatible with us in all these ways, but that there'd be no spark, like the spark we all hear about since we're a little kid, that there has to be this spark, this like, that butterflies and, that kind of attraction. And yeah, that is great to have that, or when you do feel that, but that's really not the thing that you can count on for the remainder of your life.
No.
I mean, that spark does go away eventually.
Yeah, and it's not sustainable. Could you imagine if your heart is beating fast every time you saw like a husband? Like you would not make it. You would go kaplunk. Like, girl, no.
Right. You'd quit your job.
Yeah, you can't be going at 147 beats per minute day in and day out. Like, biologically, no, we're not doing that. And if that man may be rage baiting you into your heart doing that. Listen, we got to get back to the real lamest. Girl, no, if that man's got your Apple Watch asking you like, oh, is you cool? Like, no, you're not cool. You need to get out of there. Run. No.
I love it. It's so true. It is so true. Oh man. Another thing too that I love about you is that you'd said your comfort show is the Golden Girls.
Oh my gosh,
Me
yes.
too.
I love
Oh my gosh.
Golden Girls.
I would love to know, what do those women represent for you?
I love that, before it was just maybe one character that just kind of resonated with me. But I love, first of all, the writing was excellent on Golden Girls. Can we just first say that? Because it was so progressive in the 80s and just like the topics, and the Golden Girls still hold true today. So it was amazing. But seeing myself now as like a fully grown woman, I see how I operate in all of those spaces. I definitely, Dorothy definitely resonates with me because, very sarcastic, especially, God bless my mom. I love her so much, but, my mom can get a bit Sophia, and I see myself being a bit Sophia with my daughter, or my daughter's definitely Dorothy. It's always an eye roll. It's always, Mom, you're so cringe. All of those things. And even with being like Rose Nyland, right? Like that's also been a huge part of like post-divorce life for me, where I don't know what it is about like the bimbo aesthetic, from the sense of, we'll get into Blanche in a little while, because but just like the dizzy ditzy aesthetic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I tell my friends, it is so fun. Please try it out. I just told my boyfriend asked me something, and I said, I don't know. I said, I have no idea. I said, babe, I love being ignorant. And it's so fun to say that you're ignorant when you're actually like really, you're smart, you're a learned individual, because then you get to choose like when you want to think and when you don't want to think. And for me, Jojo, that is self-care because I
Yeah.
have all my life made really important decisions for myself and like, okay, girl, you've got to get this right because there's nobody that's going to come and save you. So you need to
Yeah.
do this, you need to do that, you need to buy a house at 25, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go to grad school, you just had a breakup because that's what you do. You go get another degree.
Hmm.
So just operating in a space of like Rose and it just, I mean, that song, I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. Like, yes, childlike wonder
Yeah.
is freaking amazing to be in and just walk around smiling like it's amazing. So I girl, I loved his walk because then men were like, "Oh my God, your energy is just so great. It's just radiating." And I'm like, "Huh? I can't hear you because I'm 37 and the music's really loud." I'd be like, "What?" And I couldn't really hear him at all. So then they're like, "Oh, I really
Yeah.
love you now. You're just so damn dinky." And I'm like, "Huh? Yeah. What? You brought your binky here. What did you say?" So I love that. And then the whole Blanche Devereaux, my God.
Oh yeah.
That was the part of like, yes, like knowing your power as a woman. Just even what I was
Hmm.
talking about earlier, these men will do anything because men would not. They wouldn't get good jobs. They wouldn't get their hair cut. They probably wouldn't even wash their ass. They wouldn't care about having a nice car if it didn't get a woman's attention. So
Right.
once you
Right.
know that as a woman, and even going back, here's a little sidestep, right? Because ADHD, we're going to tell 14 stories when you ask one question. But even going back to what you said about having a partner with the butterflies, there was a word
Yeah.
that you said that I want to go back and focus on. When you said you want to find someone. So anybody that knows me knows I chop that word down because we as women, it is not our job to find a thing. All we do is simply exist and we further develop ourselves, whatever hobbies that we want to do, and that man is going to find us because men are hunters and gatherers. If we go looking for a man, running behind a man, we're going to chase him because however you get him is the way you got to keep him. And you're going to be running behind him the whole time. And that's been the coolest part about learning myself after being married is, okay, what do I like to do? Okay, well, I like to exercise. I like to do Pilates. I like to go to sporting events. I like to go look at art. It was all the things that I wanted to do with just being me. And because it
Yeah.
wasn't performative, then the people that were already in these spaces were like, oh, hello, I've been waiting for somebody like you. So when we
Right.
focus on ourselves and say, you know what, God, supreme being, universe, show me how good today can be. Bring all the things that I need and help me develop into who I want to be. Then it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
whoever's supposed to be in your life, especially a romantic interest, they're going to come. So it's not anything that we have to do. We just literally have to exist. And that's one of the coolest things about being a woman. All we have to do is exist.
I love that. That I never really, I guess, stopped to think about it, that
Hmm.
way. But you're
Hmm.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
That is really, really true because then and this would be true for any type, not even just romantic
Hmm.
relationships, but the friendships that you make along the way,
Yes.
they're genuine. They're based on real connection, real interests. None of it is
Absolutely.
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah. And I always tell my daughter, in order to have friends, you have to be a friend. So just
Yeah.
showing up authentically in every space when you can. And I'm not saying this in like a weird like, you know, influencer kind of way like, "Oh, my life's perfect." No, like this simulation is weird. I do recognize that this is a simulation. Okay, I've watched enough episodes of Black Mirror to know that life is. There's no way that this could be real because there's too many like synchronicities for
Right.
this to like somebody's got a game like this is all The Sims and art imitates
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah.
but yeah, the end because I don't know where I was going with that, JoJo.
That's quite all right. You were saying that you tell your daughter, to make friends, you have to be a friend.
Yes.
Yeah, which is really awesome advice.
Yes, that was my opening and closing statement for that.
Okay. That's great. That's great. So, what would you tell women who are like terrified that they're behind? Like, let's say they're divorced at 39, starting over, unsure of what comes next.
Ooh, okay. It sounds like Shiri core right there. I'm like, oh, girl, you reading my book. So my dad, both my parents are in their 70s. My dad is actually in his late 70s, and he's this older gentleman from New York City, and he will not ever let anybody forget that he's from New York City. And with that, being born in the late 40s and growing up in the streets of New York, you learn a lot of things, right? So my dad always kind of gives me these like gems where I don't think he realizes that he gives them to me. Well, he probably does because he always tells me stuff because I'm like the most serious like child. So he's like, honey, this is why I tell you this stuff. I'm like, well, that's because my siblings are boys. So of course you don't tell them. So he just always like tells me some stuff. So there was an interview that he watched many years ago, and it was an interview with Lena Horne. Lena Horne was this amazing woman that was an actress. She was a singer, and she just was drop dead gorgeous, just like old Hollywood. Yeah. Yes, beautiful woman. And so it talked about her and in her life just achieving things that may have happened a little bit sooner for people. And entertainment's kind of a funny place where it's like, well, if you don't do it when you're younger, especially back then, if you don't do it when you're younger, then it's just never going to come to you. And so she said to the person that was interviewing her, she said, well, you know what? Some people are just late bloomers. And when my dad told me that, I don't know how old I was, maybe a teenager or maybe in my early 20s. It stuck with me now, even almost at 40, where it's like, you know what? That's it. That's it, the end, because you can bloom at any point. And just because it's happening for you or has the possibility to happen for you, to know who you are at 39, hell, at 69, it doesn't minimize the fact that you can do it. I see so many women in my line of work because, I've moonlit as so many different things, but in my 9 to 5, I handle a lot of things with people that have life-changing events. And I come across these women that may have gotten a diagnosis of cancer and their husband will leave them at the lowest point of their lives, or they've been married and they never worked. They were a stay-at-home mom, which is the hardest job, actually. So they don't have a history of earnings. And when it comes time for them to be, receiving some type of pension or some type of return on their investment, they're like, well, what do you pay for investing 1,000% of my life into my children and into my husband? And it's like, well, unfortunately, this country doesn't pay anything for that. They don't pay anything to you. Or seeing women that, become widows, but all they know was their husband because they got married at 17 or 18 years old. So talking to these women and telling them it's okay to find out who you are and it's okay to pivot into something new. Sometimes you have to do that in the stillness of yourself. I'm never afraid of silence. I'm never afraid of silence because that's when I do my best thinking. And that's when I get those whispers from the Holy Spirit or from God, because God is a woman, because I've never met an unselfish man. So God has to be a woman. And I will stand on that to the day I die. That is a hill that, I'm gonna fight on. But in those times, God, show me what it is that's next for me. Sometimes when we get those nudges where in the middle of the night we'll wake up, maybe sometimes between 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, I encourage everybody to just start writing. Either you're putting pen to paper or pull out your phone and just whatever your thoughts are, type them, write them down. Look for ways to receive signs from either nature, or I know that God speaks to me through people. So I try to be receptive of what individuals have to say to me because it's really played a large part in my life. So to that woman that is 39 years old, that is getting divorced or starting over, first come find me, fly to Atlanta, and, find me. Like, does anybody know Shiri? And somebody might be like, oh yeah, especially because I'm a native too, and 6 degrees of separation is a real thing anywhere in the world. But oh yeah, I know Shiri. Like, yeah, this is where she is typically. You probably find her at the bar drinking a martini, and there you're gonna find me. But don't be scared to get real with yourself and get real with people that you can trust, like your village, and tell them, like, hey, I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know what's next. Like, hey, I need for you guys to rally around me. I need your support. Because you'll be surprised the way that people will show up for you when they're like, oh, well, we were just waiting on the back call. We didn't know, because you present yourself to always have it together. And in a lot of cases, when you are married, that's what we do. We present as a united front, and we protect the shit out of these husbands, whether they're great or not so great, because that's what we're taught. And don't let them be a higher wage earner, because then, your life has to be perfect. Otherwise, you're ungrateful, as a woman. Yeah. So, it's so cliche. It's okay to not be okay, but reach out to your village and tell them, like, I really need someone to kind of be there for me. My best friend, my best friend, my best friend and I, we have this code that we text each other where we'll say, hey sis, do you have 12 minutes? Anytime we hear that, we take time to say, okay, what is it exactly that you're needing? How can I be your sounding board? With whatever it is, I'm going to take away time. That. She could be doing a damn biopsy. I'm like, hey girl, you busy? No, not really. What's up? Like, with scalpel in hand. Nah, what's up, girl? And I'm like, okay. Yeah. But we know when we hear that, like, that code phrase, we already know what time it is, and we're going to show up for each other. If you don't have a village like that, manifest it for yourself. Put it in the universe, or ask God, I need for you to bring somebody strong into my life, or give me tools or materials that I can read or listen to, or have the wind slap my face to just let me know that I'm okay, and show me the way that I need to pivot. And it's going to happen. Yes. You got to believe it too. Because, like I tell my daughter, if you think negative things, like, negative in, negative out. So whether it's good or bad, either whatever you're thinking, you are right. So yes, it's going to go well if you believe that it's going to go well. It won't go well if you believe that it's not going to go well. And every day is essentially bad, but every day sucks, okay? But we find the silver lining, and we take those wins. And we add a tally. We add a tally to that board, and we live to fight another day.
Right. Today just didn't suck as much as yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Because JoJo, you wouldn't believe, just a few hours ago, I had a horrible toothache. Oh my God. It was killing me, to the point where I was like, I need to go to the hospital. And I'm like texting my boyfriend, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to go get you something from the drugstore to, like, put on your tooth. I was eating some mango jerky, and I think it had a seed or something in it, and I cracked one of my teeth. It's hell getting old, but it sure does beat the alternative. But my God, I mean, I'm like, so then he comes back with, like, Oragel and then some other things for, like, canker sores. And I'm like, you ain't never seen no damn sores around my mouth. I am not a damn leper. And you wouldn't even know. We've been sitting here chatting for so long, and I put the salve or whatever. Salve, that's so funny. It sounds like I'm reading of Mice and Men. I put the salve on my tooth, and, here I am, and we're talking about life and pivoting, and you don't even know. I was like, I thought the whole left side of my brain was going to explode and ooze out of my ear. So yes, every day is terrible. But then, you get Oragel, you put it on, I'm not going to say you numb it because we don't need for everybody to self-medicate, but
Right, right.
you self-medicate within reason, and then you go get, oh, here we go. Thank you, God. And then you go get the help. You go seek the help that you need. I had to use the Orajel because it's Sunday. Dentist isn't open on Sunday, but you best believe this upcoming week, I'm going to call and make an appointment, and I'm probably going to have a root canal. And I started doing research on it. Look at this word. We're preaching now. I started doing research on it because we're so scared. Everybody's so scared of root canals, right? Because you hear it and it's like, oh, it's terrible. But then I started looking it up, and it said, well, the most pain that you experience in a root canal is the pain that you get before even having the procedure. The procedure is a 2 out of 10, but your pain is probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I say all that to say, ladies, it sucks when you're going through it, but once you go through it and you get the help that you need, it's like, oh my God, I am relieved of this shit. I'm no longer going through this pain.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. That's what a great analogy too.
I know.
Like
I
that.
mean, girl, this ADHD, I tell you, when it's on, it's on.
Yeah. But, and starting over, it isn't failure. It's, it's refusing to die emotionally just to look successful. And, I'd rather be late, like a late bloomer or late to my life, than early to my misery.
Yes. And that was going to be me, girl. I was going to be dead.
Yeah.
I'm not even. And you know what the cool part is? Like, when you get a divorce, there are so many people like throwing a parade for you in their mind because they're like, gosh, I wish I could have done that. I remember, well, I won't say that because I don't want to throw other third parties into it. But I did what so many other women wish that they would have done in their third year of their marriage. Like, God, I wish I would have done that in year 3, as opposed to like being stuck now in year 33, and all of my life and my finances and my grandchildren are just so wrapped up in this monster. And now I can't get, and now I can't get out of here. And I'm not saying that my ex-husband was a monster. Did he cosplay as one? I don't know, but he wanted me to sign a confidentiality statement, and I said no, and he cut my alimony. I will say that. But here we are, and we don't need that shit because we were who we were already before even meeting him. But yeah.
So let's just say like a woman who's listening right now, and she feels disconnected from herself. What's one small way that she could start honoring her power again?
Music is therapy. There have been a lot of like scientific studies done on frequencies and how certain frequencies, evoke certain emotions, where if you're stressed out or you're needing to go to sleep, there's certain like hertz that you can listen to that will soothe your mind. There's also listening to like EDM or house music that typically will have you, will boost your mood. And a lot of times you'll be more productive just because of the BPMs, the beats per minute. I thoroughly, and I'm an Atlanta girl, so we like to shake it up down here in the South. I thoroughly encourage everyone to listen to music and dance in the mirror. I know it's going to be kind of crazy if you're not used to that kind of stuff, but just try it, because when you start moving your body, and you will realize how much just tension may be held in your body. Girl, you might start crying. You might start jumping for joy. You might learn a new dance move. You might hurt yourself from learning that new dance move. You didn't stretch properly. But, music has been a big part of just my life and an absolute part of my healing. And the great part about like living in this crazy AI simulation is you can literally take this to chat, like, hey, chat, I'm feeling sad, or today was a bad day, or I'm frustrated in traffic. Is there a song that I could listen to that would make me feel better? Or, if you have things like Spotify or Apple, and of course you do because you're listening to No Hard Feelings Kinda on one of those platforms.
That's right.
But you can literally put in the search engine like so many different options, and I guarantee a playlist is going to come up, whether you're cleaning your home or you're having a rough day or whatever it is. You might even find like a divorce playlist. And you know what? Maybe I will make one
Mm-hmm.
and share it with you guys. But I feel like music
Yeah.
is such great therapy. I know it sounds so corny, but it works. It really does. You got to move your body.
You're right. And just to kind of add on to what you're saying, because I recently discovered binaural beats. Have you
Mm-hmm.
ever heard of that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of that before until maybe like 6 months ago.
Mm.
And I just went on YouTube and I searched it, and sure enough, there's like a ton of videos and that you can listen to. And now I listen to that to fall asleep
Yes.
probably 3 or 4 nights a week. And it makes such a big difference in my mood, my attitude, my
Yes.
just everything.
Isn't it
It's
so good?
wild.
So
Yeah.
good.
I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
is wild. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. I highly encourage it for like parents too, like with kids, instead of
Yeah.
like going in their room and like threatening them or, microdosing them with like melatonin. Like just no, put that on. Seriously,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah. For real. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if, one thing too that I think is important to kind of tell yourself or remind yourself that if honoring yourself disappoints people, then congratulations, you're healing.
Yes.
Like, sometimes growth looks like choosing peace over being chosen. And
Mm-hmm.
that it can be really hard, sometimes even uncomfortable to start to do that because it's so out of our norm.
Mm-hmm.
But to begin, but once you start actually like showing up for yourself,
Yes.
you really do get used to it and realize that you should have been doing this for a long
Yes.
time. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I love that's kind of how um this is what your thought process was and how you maneuvered through your different phases of life, like
Yeah, for
telling
sure.
yourself that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jojo, like a divorced woman is the scariest thing walking on the planet because they are once they realize like, hey, you are enough and very sure of themselves. And once
Hmm.
you look at yourself and say, only what I think of me is important. Do I like
Yeah.
me? And whether you answer yes or no, it's fine. It's like, okay, well, do I like me? Yes. Okay, well, keep on keeping on then, baby. Or do I like me? Maybe not so much. Okay, well, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Okay, then you start exploring options, and then that's the really cool part about it too, because then it's all up to you to choose, because you are now a woman by design. And I think that's been the coolest part about all of this, where it's like, I don't have to impress you. Like, do I impress myself?
Hmm.
And that's been the coolest part. Like, do I think that I'm a cool individual? Do I
Yeah.
enjoy what I'm doing? Do I like me? And sometimes I get on my nerves. I mean, and I'll be like, "Whoa, there, girl, pull it back." But I think
Hmm.
that's been the coolest part about this experience and approaching like midlife, and again, doing it my way.
Yeah. Right. Learning yourself.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Cherie, thank you so much for this conversation. Truly, this was grounding and empowering. And the perfect
Oh,
reminder that getting your groove back doesn't mean, becoming someone new. It usually just means finally coming home to yourself.
oh yes, it's a definite homecoming, and I'm telling you, throw yourself that parade, throw your parade, and let people throw it for you too. These men,
Yes.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it about men, but they are out here waiting for you.
Hmm.
Let them throw the flowers in the street. If they want to build a float, let them. If they want to do fanfare, because like, hey, she's coming back to the street. She's back outside again. You know how like Blanche Devereaux would go into like the bar and you're like, hey, it's Blanche. And she's like, let them do it. Have a ball. Have a ball.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Whatever that is, whether it's your
Yeah.
pickleball or whether it's, going to the farmer's market or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, do it. Allow people to celebrate you while you're celebrating yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Shiri and I went deep today. We talked about the things that shape you, the moments that test you, and the experiences that force you to grow, whether you're ready or not. But we're not done, because in part 2, we're getting real about what dating looks like after divorce. The empowerment, the hope, the excitement, the boundaries you don't ignore anymore, and just in time for Valentine's Day. We talk about what it feels like to try again when you've already lived through the ending once. It's honest, it's funny, it's a little uncomfortable in the best possible way. And if you've ever found yourself thinking, I know better now, but do I actually choose better? You're going to want to press play. Shiri and I will see you there. In the meantime, don't forget to do all the things. Subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube. Follow, rate, and comment on Spotify. Follow, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow on Facebook. And most importantly, join the private Facebook group, No Hard Feelings, Kinda, the After Party, where we can hang out, continue these conversations, laugh, vent, cry, or do absolutely nothing. Shiri is there too, and she will happily answer any questions you guys have for her. Don't be shy. Just post your questions on the page, or if you would rather ask privately, feel free to DM me and I will pass the questions along to Shiri and you can 100% remain anonymous.